You want to fight, bro?
Yeah, the Fight Bros podcast. Three, two, one.
What's up, Fight Bros Podcast listeners? We're here with the Fight Bros Podcast 6 here on September 15th, 2019. We got the original Fight Bros for you today. No guest for us today. As always, I'm Marcus Burks, and this is Albert Walters.
Hey, guys. Excited to be here as always. I think we've got a fun show. We've got some controversial news as always in the UFC. So let's just dive into it, man. Last night's fight night 158. We had some really good fights.
Yeah, some really bad ones too.
Some really bad ones. Like the co-main event.
Yeah.
How do you say those names? Teixeira.
Yeah, so we'll start out with the co-main event. We had Glover Teixeira versus Nikki Krylova. I mean, this isn't one fight fans were really looking for. I mean, Glover Teixeira, top 10 talent in the light heavyweight division. Just kind of a real boring fight. I mean, ended in split decision with the win going to Glover Teixeira. Teixeira's approaching 40 years old.
He's looking it too.
Yeah, I don't know. Just wasn't an exciting fight to me.
Yeah. But I mean, as far as the other fights, I think Duffee and Hughes, that also wasn't really much of a fan favorite because it ended in a no contest. Allegedly, Hughes kind of poked Duffee in the eye. Duffee was seeing doubles, and they called it no contest.
See, that was the thing, man. Todd Duffee, I kind of feel bad for him because he was coming off a 4-year layoff.
Yeah. What kind of disease did he? He was off because he had.
Nah, he was just off because of injuries. He kept getting injured. I mean, he was a top heavyweight coming into the UFC.
Oh, okay.
He was really, doing some good things. He got a Frank Mir fight. He lost to Frank Mir, and then that's where his kind of injury started. UFC released him just because he wasn't, fighting as many times as they liked, maybe once a year. And, when somebody who's not a top talent is only fighting once a year, that's money wasted on the UFC's part.
Oh, yeah.
But, he kept telling the ref that he was seeing double. And, obviously they was going to bring the doctors in. And then when they finally brought the doctor in, I kind of thought, well, he was going to be like, oh, I'm good now because, he wanted to continue. And he ended up telling the doctor he was seeing double, and the doctor was like, all right, well, I'm going to keep an eye on you through this last round. If it gets any worse, just let the ref know during the match. And he was like, but I'm still seeing double. And then they ended up calling it, and then he ended up getting mad and shaking his head when they called it. I mean, I don't understand why he got mad. Like, if he was seeing double and he kept repeating, I'm seeing double, he had to have known they was going to call it. Like, UFC's not going to let you. If something would have happened to him, if he would have continued to happen to his eye, the UFC would have been at fault because it was already there that he told them he was seeing double. But I don't understand why he got mad. He had to have known it was going to get called.
The thing is, even the announcers were kind of calling it out like, oh, is he really seeing doubles? Because, I don't know, that's just kind of what they made it sound like. Because if you look at the replay video, it's like a flick.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Hughes hit Duffy's pupils, barely just scratched it. So really not that exciting of a fight.
But
Duffy was definitely about to win though, because he had Hughes on all fours and he was just slamming him down.
Duffy's very powerful. I mean, we got a glimpse of what he can do, but I don't know how this is going to go now, I don't know if he'll get another fight within the UFC. Maybe he's signed, the contract he signed guarantees him multiple fights. I was looking forward to this fight for Todd Duffee because, I know he's not a real big name in the heavyweight division, but I'm a fan of those Never Back Down movies. And he was in Never Back Down 3, which was a great movie.
Never Back Down 1 is an incredible movie.
You need to check out Never Back Down 3. It's on Netflix.
I think I've seen number 2 and I didn't like it as much as 1.
Yeah.
But I've not seen 3. I didn't know they made a 3rd.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a good movie, and Todd Duffee's one of the main characters in it. Not the main character. The main character is I can't remember his name.
It's not the same guy from the first movie.
No, it's okay. I can't remember his name. He's a big time actor that's also a black belt. He plays in those movies. Why Did I Get Married? I don't know if you've watched that, but I can't remember his name.
I can't.
But yeah. Anyways,
but Duffee and Hughes. You're not going to see much more than what we just said about it. It's yeah.
But the real highlight that you're gonna see is Cowboy versus Justin Gaethje. I mean, I predicted this right.
Of the night?
I mean,
I think if you're watching it, that fight versus the other fight we're talking about, I don't think it's the highlight.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the fight of the night, we'll go ahead and get into this, was...
Well, you want to get into the Cowboy fight?
No, we'll get into this. So, the fight of the night was Teixeira versus Conley. I believe it was one of the early fights on the main card. I don't remember which one.
Yeah, I think it was 2 fights before the co-main event.
Yeah.
It was a pretty early fight.
And I mean, like, Michael Teixeira... Yeah, he came out there and started doing these backflips. I mean,
he was dancing twice, choreographed dancing on the way into the stage.
And I think he did 2 backflips before the fight started.
But, and then he was breakdancing. He was doing that spinning back thing.
Yeah, I mean, very entertaining guy.
Yeah, very entertaining.
But I mean,
what?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh well, I was gonna say after the fight started, he came out with what was it? A flying knee, a backflip kick, a Superman punch or kick off the cage, and then another flying knee or something. It was insane. He came out with all these insane style moves. None of them really landed though.
Yeah.
So he kind of looked gassed for the rest of the fight.
That's what I didn't understand. The guy obviously has a lot of potential. He reminded me a glimpse of Johnny Walker. He did stuff like Johnny Walker likes to do in fights. I mean, I've seen a guy that can, potentially get some vicious finishes with the amount of talent he could possibly have with all his moves he was doing. But I mean, like I said, Conley, I mean, I told you from the start when we was looking at this, I was like, if you're just a regular guy, you'll be like, oh, Teixeira's gonna win. He's got the height advantage, the 6-pack, he's all ripped up. But Conley's one of those blue-collar guys that just not going to quit coming. And
Conley was also this little, I don't know, I think it's something about when someone has pale white skin, they're not intimidating. No, I'm being dead serious. You look at this guy during his, how they do their little, flex for the camera thing.
Yeah.
Both fighters do it. Conley just looked not intimidating.
Yeah.
he looked like somebody, like you said, you'd find him at your local garage. He'd probably cheat you a couple bucks, and then you'd want to fight him. You wouldn't be intimidated of him.
Those guys that don't have 6-packs are dangerous, man.
But Conley, I mean, he was getting rocked, and our boy Leaper, I want him on the show.
Yeah.
I think he's nervous, but I want him on the show. He was here. He was like, "Oh man, this is so mismatched. Conley's gonna get whooped." Then Conley came out on top, man. But what was funny was Teixeira was acting like he was surprised. And Conley, he kind of had control for a lot of the fight. He landed more strikes.
Yeah, what did he have?
The numbers? I
can't remember the numbers, yeah.
I can't remember the numbers, but he had a lot more control and a lot more strikes. Now, if you're watching the fight, you'd probably say he lost, but scorecard, he definitely won.
I mean, I've just never seen nobody try a freaking backflip. Trying to backflip, kick you while you're down on the ground.
Yeah,
I've
Conley
never seen
was
that.
down on the ground. Teixeira did this backflip. He missed, which was weird. Both feet landed perfectly on each side of Conley. But if that would have landed on Conley's stomach, he would have been...
Yeah. I mean, dude, I would like to see this guy... I can't remember what weight class this was. I think it might have been 185 or 205, but I would like to see
Conley?
this...
No. It was. I think it was 175.
Well, there's just a 170 division. It probably.
I think it was one. That's what I mean. I think it was 170, because I believe they said Conley was 168.5 for the fight.
Okay.
I think, but because Conley's only 5'10", then Pierre is 6'1", but Conley came out. He was grinding the whole time.
Yeah, and I mean, Hey, 100 G's for that
Is that what
fight
they
of the
got?
night. Yeah, and
Oh,
Piera missed weight, so Conley gets a certain percentage of Piera's purse for the night too. So I mean,
dang, Con.
hey, you go
Yeah.
out there and put on performances like that, you get paid.
Hey. Yeah, Connolly's from Canada. And so you had a lot of people chanting like, "Oh, Canada." Oh man. That was a great fight though.
Yeah,
Just two guys really came out grinding the whole time. Pierre looked gassed after his first 15-second showman punches
yeah,
that did not land. His ring corner was probably sitting there calling him a dummy,
yeah,
using up all of his energy. But I get why he came out like that. Because did you see his last fight? His last fight, he came out with a flying knee, and then one hard hit, and that was it.
yeah.
Like it was over in like 12 seconds, something like that. It was insane. So I think he wants to keep that going. Like I think he wants to be like, oh yeah, I'm a show fighter. I'm gonna come out with some
Yeah, very
fancy
entertaining
stuff.
guy.
Yeah.
I like guys that make those come out. It definitely if a guy comes out like that and I've never heard of him before, I'm gonna remember him.
Yeah.
So
And Connolly, he's such a good guy. I think people were saying it's because he's Canadian, but he's really a good guy. Because like Pierre was sitting there doing all this stuff, and like even at weigh-ins, he did a backflip off the scale,
yeah.
and Connolly was like, "Oh, good for you." Like he's like, "I can't do a backflip."
Oh, you know what else was awesome about Conley? Dude, he took this fight on 5 days' notice.
Oh yeah. And that was so funny because DC was the announcer, which we were surprised to see DC as the announcer.
Yeah, I was
But,
glad to see him back.
Yeah, glad to see him back out in daylight. But Connolly, DC asked Connolly, "What's up with that? Like, you took a fight with a week's notice," and Connolly goes, "Oh, I took this fight with only 5 days notice."
Yeah.
He said, "Imagine how good I could have been if I had 6 days
I
notice."
know, that was awesome.
Oh man, but I've got to give it to Connolly. Like that's
Yeah.
who would have thought? Like one probably on like a Monday, you're just sitting there hanging out. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe splitting wood, getting ready for winter, and he gets a call and say, "Hey, you want to come fight?" And then by the end of the week, he's walked home with what 200K at least. Because he got 100 for fight of the night.
Yeah, and then he got like probably about 20% of the Pierre's purse. I'm not
sure. And that
sure.
Doesn't even actually count for what the UFC gave them to show up.
Yeah.
So in 1 week, we're just gonna round up. I'm gonna say probably about 200K.
Yeah.
Man, he's sitting pretty right now.
Yeah.
So with 1 week's notice, you got to give it to him.
Yeah, for real.
So in Pierre, who was supposed to fight Pierre?
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
See, these fight night cards they put on, so many. I like fight night cards because it lets me get to know more fighters. But a lot of these fight nights, I pretty much just know like the first, the final 3 fights.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the lower ones are.
Yeah.
But that was a great fight. I suggest everybody out there to watch the Pierre and Connolly. Watch the whole thing because it's a really good fight.
Yeah.
And you're really gonna get the feeling, and you're gonna watch it and go, "Oh man, there's no way Connolly's gonna win." You're gonna look at him and say he's not intimidating. Maybe next time he should come out with like somewhat of a spray tan or something. Because I'm being dead serious. Something about pale white people is just not intimidating. It's like, oh, you've sat in your cave all winter. Like, why am I afraid of that? But no, he came out like a bear.
Yeah.
So, hats off to you, Connolly.
Yeah, for real.
So, Cowboy and Gaethje.
Yeah, man, what a main event! And I freaking predicted this on the last podcast. I sit there and said, I like Cowboy. He's one of my favorites, but I was like, Justin Gaethje's dangerous. He's one of the most dangerous people in that lightweight division, and I hated to say it, but I felt like Cowboy was gonna get knocked out. And Cowboy, I mean, he started out the fight. I felt like his punches were more precise. I think DC said one time DC was like, Cowboy's like a sniper.
Yeah, his punches are accurate.
Yeah, but Justin Gaethje was just doing more damage, man. I mean, Cowboy just kept taking all them shots to the head, and
then a controversial call by the referee. So remember the ref some people are saying the ref called it early.
Oh, yeah. Because I remember Gaethje got mad at the ref after the knockout because supposedly back in the locker room, the ref said that he was going to call it if one of them got punched and they fell forward towards their face. Like, fell forward towards the ground, towards their face. And, you know, for those of you who didn't know, Cowboy and Justin Gaethje, you know, they're friends. And
they both said they hated to fight each other.
They hated to fight each other, and Gaethje said he did not want to land those extra punches on Cowboy because they're friends, and that's why he was mad at the ref afterwards. And I also applaud both of them. Like, Cowboy's a legend, man. He's a legend to the sport. You know, after he got beat, he goes and puts his arm around Gaethje, you know, for the in-fight, after the fight interview with DC. And, you know, he's just congratulating him. You know, and he didn't hang his head about this. He said, I love my job. He was like, this is just one of the nights. This just wasn't my night, but I love my job, and I'm going to be back.
Oh, yeah, and in the post-fight, he said you have winners and losers, and tonight I was the loser. Like,
yeah.
But you've got to love that. Like, he's not an excuse maker like Askren and some people.
Yeah.
He's just like, I lost. I'm sorry, guys. Hopefully I can come back again and keep grinding it out. But he did make it a point to say this isn't it for him, though. Like,
no.
Because some people are like, oh, he's getting older. He lost a couple fights. Maybe this is it. And he knows that people are going to say that. So he really made it a point to say, no, I'm not going anywhere.
No, man. I mean, if this is what he loves, like, he's like in his late 30s, 36, 37, man, or 35. I can't remember. I know he's in his late 30s.
I think it's 36.
Yeah, I mean, if this is what you love, man, and you're healthy, and, you know, all your doctor's evaluations are coming back good and stuff. I mean, keep doing what you love.
Oh, yeah.
He loves it.
Oh, yeah. And, dude, Cowboy, outside of the ring, he's always going full throttle.
Yeah.
He's always doing some insane stuff. And he is
wakeboarding.
Always... Oh, yeah, wakeboarding, skydiving,
freaking
snowmobiling.
Diving, cave diving in the water and stuff.
Yeah, like he is living life.
Did you ever hear about that story he was telling on Rogan's where he almost died? Like, his oxygen started running out and he couldn't find his way out of one of the water caves. And he almost died. And he found it like last second, like as his oxygen was running out, he found the opening. But he was like talking about how he really thought he was going to, you know, his wife and kids was going to get a call saying that he died, you know, diving in caves. But yeah, I mean, that was a very good story.
Yeah.
On Rogan. I mean, he told that story probably for about 20 to 30 minutes. I mean, it's just
a while back.
Yeah, I think he's only did like 2 podcasts with Rogan. So I mean, if you YouTube it, it'll come right up. But I mean, he sat there and told, you know, this story of him diving for about, you know, 20, 30 minute story. It was just great, man. You know, great to just sit there and listen to it.
And Cowboy, he's a hell of a guy. Like, he is just such a good quality guy and a good person. And you couldn't fight him. Like, Gaethje said some kind of messed up stuff about McGregor, saying he was a crappy dad, crappy fighter, and crappy something else. Crappy family person. I don't know.
Husband.
Like that. Husband. You don't bring someone's kids into it, or even their family.
Oh, well, he wants that fight, man. I know that's the line. You know, I feel like you shouldn't cross.
Yeah,
I feel like you shouldn't cross anything. Like, I've always said that in basketball. Like, you know, if you talk
things you don't say.
Yeah, if you want to talk junk to each other, then just talk about strictly basketball stuff. Don't talk about personal stuff.
Because you're here for UFC. Yeah. You ain't here to talk crap about that dude's wife or him being a dad. I don't know, man. If I was a dad and someone's telling me I'm a bad dad, I'm gonna want to kill you. Like, legitimately. You know, Masvidal, he had to stop by the ref. If I was in the ring, I would probably punch the ref, say, no, I'm going to kill this guy in front of everybody. Like,
dude, that's got to be next, though. It's got to be Gaethje versus McGregor.
And even Gaethje said he's looking for a real fighter like Khabib.
Nah, he said he knew what he was doing when he said that. He's been calling for this McGregor fight.
He's just pissing McGregor off.
Yeah. Right after Gaethje won, McGregor posted a selfie of him just sitting in a car flexing and didn't capture it, nothing. But it was literally right after Gaethje won. So he knows what's up. And another thing, this fight was supposed to happen this summer already.
Gaethje?
Yeah, Gaethje, Conor McGregor was supposed to happen this past summer. both fighters agreed on the fight. This was released last night after the fight. Both fighters had agreed, but Conor ended up breaking his left hand during training. So, that's why it didn't end up coming into fruition. But, dude, this has got to be what's next. And I don't think, it's a dangerous fight for McGregor. But, I mean, you want to make a statement, go out there and beat Justin Gaethje, and then you'll get your Khabib rematch.
Or even your Diaz rematch.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think McGregor's got a couple fights before he gets to Diaz.
Yeah, I don't think Diaz is coming back to 155 either.
Oh,
yeah.
So you think McGregor's going to have to go up?
If they fought again, I feel like...
I think they're going to fight again. Everybody thinks they're going to fight.
Right now, Diaz is the A side in that fight. Yeah. He's got all the popularity right now. McGregor's not fighting. For the new UFC fans that are watching it, they know Diaz right now.
Yeah.
McGregor he ain't fought since the last Khabib fight.
Well, Gaethje's dangerous because he fights, and he even said this, he fights and his style of fighting is either I get knocked out or you get knocked out.
Yeah, he's the definition of like living by the sword and dying by the sword.
He does not care to get knocked out, and that's what makes him so dangerous, is he'll come out there swinging.
Yeah.
And other people aren't used to that. Most are not used to that. Most fighters are pretty conservative. And so when you have somebody who's like, yeah, come on, man, like hit me,
Yeah.
and like actually means it, like they don't know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
So I hated to see Cowboy lose, but that was a very controversial call. Cowboy immediately got up and got in the ref's face.
Dude, I don't think it was. Like I think he just kind of woke up, like more blood went back to his head or something.
Because he was down and Gaethje was hitting him.
Yeah.
I could see where the ref called it. Even the announcer said maybe the ref could have called it sooner.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. That's what makes it controversial. Some people have said he called it right on the spot. Some people said he called it too early or too late. So no, I don't know about that one. But hats off to Gaethje. I hope we see him in McGregor soon.
Yeah, I hope we do too. He said that he wouldn't be accepting anything probably until 2020, which you got to have time to build up.
We're only a few months away.
Yeah, and you got to have time to build up that fight. So,
Yeah.
But that needs to be what's next. Like if Conor wants to come back and he wants to make a statement, that needs to be what's next. If Gaethje wants to make a statement, if he goes out there and beats Conor, then give him Khabib. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying McGregor deserves Khabib, but if you can go out here and beat this monster Gaethje, get your rematch. You got to go out here and earn it.
Yeah.
But let's get into our next topic. So what's going on with Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington, man? This fight was supposed to be done. It was rumored to be the main event of UFC 244.
We've talked about this for 3 episodes now, right?
Yeah, but there's more stuff that came out about it. So
What's that?
Masvidal was doing an ESPN interview, and he explained what happened with the Colby Covington thing. So Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington were originally offered the main event of UFC 244.
Okay.
For some reason, both sides couldn't agree on it, and so then they went on. So then they tried to renegotiate it. Supposedly, Colby Covington agreed, and Kamaru Usman didn't agree. So
was it money?
I think so, but then
More than likely.
So then Dana White and them was like, all right, we're moving on. We're gonna do Kamaru Usman versus Masvidal. So they offered both fighters that. Masvidal liked the numbers. He accepted. Kamaru Usman originally declined. They was like, all right, Usman, you've done turned down 3 contracts in a row. We're moving on to Masvidal versus Diaz. So they said Masvidal versus Diaz. They offered both fighters contracts. Both parties accepted. Supposedly then after the fight was made official, or made official behind closed doors, Usman finally accepted the offer to fight Masvidal. So yeah, that it's just kind of weird, man. And he's posting like his title and stuff on Twitter saying nobody wants it. He wants the money, right? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not saying he's scared to fight Colby, but what's up, man? Like, you gotta unify the titles. You got Colby Covington out here carrying around this interim belt, saying he's the real champion. He's going to the White House and stuff. Why don't you want to show you're the world champion, man? You know what I'm saying? I don't get what Usman's doing.
I feel like it's probably just fun. It's maybe Usman saying he wants more money.
Oh, I mean, he's got to be getting money, man. I
I
mean,
mean, maybe
really,
he's like, I want more.
really, like his Woodley fight was like his, coming out fight that got him
I think
that
you're
popularity.
right.
So you need to go out here and make another title defense. Make your first title defense. Beat Colby Covington that has a bunch of controversy around him. That was the fight to make. Colby Covington, everybody hates him. Everybody wants to see him lose. Even though, Kamaru Usman, isn't, a real big talker and stuff and, sells fights well by himself, this fight would sell well because people would want to see Colby Covington get beat up.
Yeah.
And he turned it down. I don't understand why. See, I think he's still a little bit injured. And I think he knew that, like, that Colby Covington fight, taking it, not being fully healed, was going to be tough. Maybe he could have
said, hey, I want more money and more time because I'm still kind of, I don't know, man.
But
so they said, Usman, you can't fight Masvidal. We already approved Masvidal and Diaz.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what everybody wants to see anyways. So, like,
yeah.
and
that's a weird fight, Usman and Masvidal, because they didn't have beef.
Well, I mean, like, if you want the belt at the end of the day, you're going to have to fight the champion.
Well, yeah, but so, you know what I mean? Like, Usman and Masvidal, I don't know, Usman and Colby kind of got into it.
Yeah.
Masvidal called out Diaz, so those fights made sense. So it's kind of weird to, like, mix them.
Yeah, and,
hey, what if Diaz fought Colby?
Man, I would like that. I don't know if you remember, but, Colby's talked a lot of stuff about Nick Diaz.
Yeah.
And Nick Diaz was on TMZ telling him, he's like out on the Vegas Strip, and he was like pointing at the sidewalk and was like, he knows where I'm at. He was like, this is my ring right here. He was like, tell him to come on. And I was like, but I don't know. Like, Nate wants the most interesting fights. He wouldn't even acknowledge Colby's name, which nobody is. I mean, nobody wants to give him any more clout than he already gets. But what's interesting about this is, how Colby, kept saying that him and Masvidal were best friends?
Yeah.
Well, that friendship's supposedly over now. Masvidal claims that, Colby Covington did not pay their team trainer for, the training for his win over Robbie Lawler, because they have that fight camp. You have all these people doing the behind the scenes work.
And if you win, I think you've got to pay your trainer a little more too.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of fighters do that. Like, if they win, they pay like their trainers a little bit more than the actual rate that they charge or whatever. But supposedly he never paid him. And
supposedly, who didn't pay the trainer?
Colby. Yeah, and him and Masvidal are on the same team.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of weird. With all that going down, because Colby kind of acted like they was best friends at one point, and Masvidal acted like this friendship's been over for a while. He just hasn't acknowledged, but Colby Covington was literally saying he was his best friend a month ago.
Ooh.
So, like, Masvidal, I don't know what's going on with that, but
dude, Masvidal, he's a gangster. So is Nick and Nate Diaz. They are some street grinders, man.
That's why I'm glad those two, are finally fighting at UFC 244. Like, I wanted Conor McGregor versus Diaz so bad, but now I just want to see this, man. Like, gangster versus gangster for the BMF title.
Dude, I'm excited for that BMF title.
Yeah.
So, and we talked about getting tickets. We thought they were going to come out 2 days ago on Friday, but no.
It's this Friday.
It's this coming up Friday, so.
I'm serious about it, man. I
want to do it.
I just think I don't think we're ever going to see a fight like that ever in person and be that close.
And get the B. Like, when would we ever get to see a BMF fight again? Yeah. Like, that's. I'm excited. I hope we can get tickets. It's not worth it if we. I do not think it is worth it to go to the fight if we can only get nosebleed seats.
Nah.
But
because then you're gonna have to watch it on the jumbotron, which would pretty much be sitting in your house watching it.
Yeah, you're just gonna be paying a whole lot more.
Yeah,
for the travel and the ticket and everything.
But keeping with this welterweight division, Woodley actually did some interviews the other day. He said he's back. He said he's back in training. he is calling for a rematch against Kamaru Usman. I wouldn't be mad if that fight got made because, I'm not saying Woodley deserves it because it was obviously Usman dominated him for those 5 rounds.
Yeah.
But, Colby Covington and Usman, the contracts, they obviously don't want to fight each other. They're not accepting contracts. They're being real finicky about it, unifying the title. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I kind of think, if I'm the UFC and, Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington, you've offered it down, I think you should give Woodley a rematch against Usman. I think it makes sense. Or do Woodley versus Colby Covington and strip Usman because
if Usman's not going to accept fight, you can't hold onto the belt forever. You've got to defend it,
dude. Either one of those fights are going to be great fights. Colby versus Woodley. So much history behind that. Former teammates.
Mm-hmm.
That they hate each other. Woodley said during that interview if there was one person that he would actually go out there and he had intentions on hurting. Woodley was saying, he can't go back to his hometown and, let everybody see him get beat by Colby Covington. He was like, that fight means so much to me. He was like, I can't go sit in my barber shop, after getting beat by Colby Covington. He was like, I couldn't go back to my hometown if I lost to that dude. And he was saying, with Colby, he will have vicious intentions in the octagon, not just wanting to win, wanting to hurt him.
I think a lot of people would show up for that fight.
Yeah, and a rematch with Woodley versus Usman. I think that sells well too.
Yeah.
And he deserves it. Woodley deserves it in a way. If you think about what he did last. What Dana's gave immediate rematches before, as we've discussed. He gave Cody Garbrandt and got knocked out by TJ Dillashaw. He gave him an immediate rematch.
DC and
Stipe gave Stipe an immediate rematch. So I don't understand, why Woodley hasn't got an immediate rematch yet.
We kind of have our suspicions
talking about what's going on.
Well, kind of because Dana doesn't really like Woodley.
Yeah, he's a sale man.
He's a great seller.
He's an actor. He was an actor in Straight Outta Compton. Had a decent role in there. You've seen him a lot in that movie. He's a rapper. He came out with an album.
How well did his album do? Pretty well.
I like it, but I like rap music. So, but
see,
it's not gonna be obviously. He had Wiz Khalifa on his album, so he had a good feature. I liked the whole album, but I am a Woodley fan for one, and for two, I like rap music. It's not mainstream.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be one of those, like, Post Malone songs that, somebody that doesn't even like rap singing it or something.
Mm-hmm.
But Woodley's a good sale, man.
Would you rather see Covington and Usman or Covington and Woodley?
I'd rather see Colby Covington versus Tyron Woodley and have them strip Usman because I feel like there's just so much bad blood. Colby said, I did this to Tyron Woodley during training, and he quit because he knew I was giving it to him. And then Woodley said Colby Covington couldn't even hang with me in training at all. This and that. Just so much back and forth. Like, we want to see what's really going on. We want to see what went on behind closed doors with them too.
Yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah,
I think that I would prefer that fight, and tell him, hey, Usman, you're getting the winner. If you don't accept it, we're stripping you.
Yeah, and they've stripped people before for not
fighting.
Yeah, for not fighting. They stripped Connor when he wasn't fighting.
Yeah.
So what's interesting too is, Woodley is now training under Firas Zahabi, which is the famous trainer of GSP. So Woodley has been training with GSP. Roy McDonald, one of the, beasts in Bellator.
Dude, Roy McDonald is a beast.
Yeah, and he beat Tyron Woodley, so I think this is good. Like, Tyron Woodley's training with somebody who beat him before. He's training with, arguably the GOAT, GSP. And,
a lot of people calling.
Yeah, and Kevin Lee's a part of that gym now, too. So, it's just interesting. Like, I like this, man. I feel like we're going to see a different Woodley when he comes back. I mean, he's training with GSP, man.
Yeah, the last Woodley that we've seen the last few times, I feel like he was kind of like Joe said, doing enough.
Yeah.
Just to win. Like, just doing enough. Bare minimum, you won the fight. But now that he's kind of backed down, he doesn't have a belt anymore. He's going to come out guns blazing.
Because, I mean, look at this. Like, he already, Woodley was a Division I wrestler. Now you're training, with one of the best GSP and Faraz Sahabi. I mean, I like this, man. I like the move he made. I think this is best for his career. I think we're going to see a different Woodley the next time he fights just because of, this new training camp he has. I mean, I think he still has the same coaches that he did have before. He's just training under Faraz Sahabi now, so he's still bringing some of his team members.
Have they announced a co-main event for the Diaz and Masvidal fight?
Yeah, so it's Darren Till versus Kevin Gastelum.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So I mean,
because I was gonna say, what if they made this happen real quick for the co-main? What if they made Woodley and Covington happen real quick? Because I mean, obviously, if you can get Connolly to accept a fight in 5 days,
yeah.
You can get people to. I mean, what do we have? A month and a half, roughly.
Yeah, and dude, what's interesting about this is I was listening to Brandon Schaub's podcast the other day, and he was saying I liked his take on this. He said that Usman versus Colby, they should have took. They should take that co-main event spot under Diaz versus Masvidal. You're gonna get paid. That fight right there, that pay-per-view, it possibly could sell out Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
The pay-per-view buys for that, I guarantee you will clear 1 million buys. They haven't cleared 1 million buys in a while. Diaz versus Masvidal will clear 1 million buys. Put Colby Covington versus...
If you had a huge co-main event, you definitely would clear 1 million.
Yeah, put Colby Covington versus Usman on there. Dude, everybody's getting paid. Usman and Colby, Nate Diaz versus Masvidal, they're hot right now. They're more popular than them, just based on what they've been doing lately. If you would have been their co-main event, everybody's getting paid.
Everybody's getting paid good. Yeah. So, oh, man.
But we mentioned Kevin Lee earlier, so he's training under Faraz Sahabi now. He recently announced he's moving back down to 155. We last seen Kevin Lee fight RDA at 170. Kevin Lee's had some tough weight cuts in the past, so he moved up to 170 and fought RDA. I thought he was having a decent fight. RDA ended up beating him, though. Who should Kevin Lee fight next? Who do you think? You remember Kevin Lee, right?
Roughly.
Okay, yeah, he's the...
I mean, I remember him, but...
Remember, we watched him fight Tony Ferguson over there at Joseph's. Yeah, and he was beating Tony Ferguson. In that first round, it looked like he was going to finish Tony Ferguson. He had that big staff on his chest.
Yeah,
that
and
big,
he almost... Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely remember Lee. I'm just bad at faces.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Lee's an elite guy. I mean, Tony Ferguson, one of the best lightweights, could be the one to beat Khabib. Kevin Lee almost finished him, man, in the first round.
Didn't he call out Khabib?
Who?
Oh God, I'm blanking.
Ferguson.
Ferguson.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's going to be next for Khabib.
Yeah, that's what they've not officially said, but that's kind of what they're putting in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect that fight announcement in a month or 2 months.
Yeah.
We're gonna get that fight announcement soon. Both of those guys are gonna get paid.
Yeah.
But some possible fights. Kevin Lee has announced that he wants to fight at UFC 244 on that awesome Madison Square Garden card.
Do you think they're gonna make that happen in a month and a half, though?
Oh, they can.
I mean, I know they can, but do you think another fighter would be cool with that?
Well, there's 2 fights in mind that and
wait, did Lee call these 2 people out?
Yeah, and they have a mutual interest in fighting him at UFC.
Both people?
Yeah, so I know, forgive me if I pronounce this guy's last name wrong, but Islam Makhachev. We just seen him fight at the last pay-per-view. He's Khabib's cousin. He won a pretty good fight by split decision. And Gregor Gillespie. Gregor Gillespie is, I believe, the number 14th ranked lightweight. A lot of guys are supposedly dodging fights because, he's a really good wrestler and he's been on the come up. been finishing some guys as of lately.
So Lee is kind of wanting to fight. It sounds like two wrestlers, really. Because Makachev is.
But Kevin Lee is an elite wrestler also.
Yeah.
So I like both of these fights. Either one of these fights at UFC 244 with Kevin Lee, dude, I like these. You know, coming back to the lightweight division, I kind of like the style of taking, you know, some of those guys that are just below the top 10, you know, kind of get his swagger back if he could get a W. Both of these guys are going to be tough fights, though. I like this, man. And that just makes me want to go to UFC 244 more.
I'm hoping the main event, co-main event, and all the events under that are stacked.
Dude, yeah, it is, man.
Because our obvious, co-main event, that's kind of stacked, but really the main event, that's where it's at.
Yeah, it already is. Let me read off some of these.
Some of the fighters.
Yeah.
It's not Jacek. It's a really good woman's fight coming out too, I believe.
Yeah, Jacek is fighting soon.
Yeah, that's next. I think that's next weekend, actually. Or on the pay-per-view with... oh, my gosh. They're fighting for the...
Oh, this card's so awesome. So we have Masvidal versus Diaz, the main event. Kevin Gastelum versus Darren Till, co-main event. Derek Lewis versus Bagley Evanoff, which Bagley Evanoff is that, you know, heavyweight that's up and coming. Remember, he got stabbed.
Do you have his face right there?
Yeah, remember he got stabbed.
Oh,
he's the guy that got stabbed.
He got stabbed and he was out for a little while.
So we got Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Vincent Luque. Luque's the guy who just beat Mike Perry. And we got Andrei Arlovsky versus, can't even pronounce that guy's name. I don't even want to try. But, dude, we got some good names on this card, man. Oh, and did I not mention Corey Anderson versus Johnny Walker? I mean, likely one of these two guys is going to be the next to fight John Jones.
Could we fit any more good fights onto that?
I know,
card?
that's what I'm saying, man. Like UFC, they need to start spreading some of this stuff out.
Well, see, could you imagine if we also had Covington and Woodley on that card?
UFC's
it's not going to happen now, but...
They've been giving us some crap cards as of lately, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, the next card coming out on November 2nd, the main event is Whittaker
versus Adesanya.
Yeah,
but on that fight too,
that's the only good fight on that card.
Yeah, I don't understand.
So we'll be at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, but, I'm gonna watch it like always, but
probably not really pay much attention to the other fights.
Nah,
but we're all stoked for Whittaker. What do we see him like once a year?
Yeah, that's the only thing about him, man. We see him about once a year. I know he had those 2 wars with Romero, though.
Yeah.
Dude, Romero's one of those guys. He's one of those guys that I feel like is always one fight away from a title shot. He's just so good, man. Like, these guys are... I don't feel like nobody's convincingly beat him. So, Robert Whittaker, the second fight with Robert Whittaker. A lot of people thought Romero won. Obviously, Paulo Costa... A lot of people thought Romero won. Like, he's in a fight with everybody. What I want to see is Yoel Romero versus Israel Adesanya.
That'd be a good fight.
I want to see that, man. And
I feel like Adesanya would be a hard fighter to fight because he's so tall and lanky.
Dude, maybe, I hope none of them, Robert Whittaker or Adesanya don't get hurt or anything. But let's say, maybe one of them pulls out kind of soon and we see Romero step in.
For what? November
for either
2nd?
One of them, yeah.
November 2nd? That's only 2 weeks away. Or October. Wait. The next fight, the Whittaker fight, that's in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
October, I can't remember. It's the first Saturday of October.
I don't know. Maybe they already have him on standby behind the scenes. Like, he might be getting paid just to make weight. They do that sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. I'd like to see that. I don't think Israel Adesanya... I think he's going to get dominated by Robert Whittaker.
You think so? I just don't see Whittaker come out that much.
I like Whittaker, though, man. I like...
Dude,
what's his nickname? The Reaper?
Yeah. Dude, could you imagine if they would have pushed this back to November 2nd? Ooh, man. That would... how insane would that be if on November 2nd we had Masvidal Diaz... Whittaker and Adesanya, Covington and Woodley.
Yeah.
Plus, Gastelum and Till, then I mean we're still stacked.
Yeah.
And that's the first 4 fights.
Dude, I don't think we're gonna
So-
get a card like that in a long time.
No.
That's why I want to go so bad. I feel
And
like
it's
it's
so
literally like a
close.
once in a lifetime
Yeah.
event.
I mean we could leave on Friday. Like, I
Yeah.
could take off work. I mean, heck, we could even leave Thursday evening.
Yeah,
But it'd be nice to go to that.
I know.
But you say Mary wants to go?
Yeah, she likes Diaz, and she wants to go to New York real bad, which I wouldn't go without her because
Yeah. Yeah, then maybe we should make it like if we got tickets, maybe we could leave. I could take off like Thursday and Friday. We could leave Wednesday because you want to see the city. You don't want to just go watch the fight. Like you really, because dude, it's so much fun in New York. I love it. We could go see the city on Thursday and Friday and Saturday, watch the fight Saturday night, come back Sunday. I think it sounds like fun.
Yeah, that's why I'm really excited for this upcoming Friday because it's really gonna give me a good idea of what I might have to start planning some stuff by then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Friday the 20th, tickets come out for those of you who are interested.
Yeah, because that gives us about a month and 2 weeks
to
or
try
so
to plan. Yeah.
to try to plan it all out. Yeah, if we're gonna buy tickets, we need to go ahead and like buy them on Friday.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's
if I see that it's a good enough deal, I want to buy it Friday. If I see a really good deal, I want to try to buy it before Ticketmaster gets a hold of it and stuff.
we'll try to buy it before Friday night. Like if we think it's worth it, we'll definitely try to buy it before Friday night's over. I'd like to try to buy it before lunchtime because they come out 8 a.m. or something.
I don't remember. It's in my email though.
Yeah. Well, it would be nice to try to buy them before lunchtime's over.
Yeah.
So, but I'm stoked.
Yeah, I am too. Let's get on to our next topic. Chris Cyborg. I know this is kind of late, but we never did talk about it on the show. Chris Cyborg has signed with Bellator for the biggest Bellator contract ever.
Biggest as far as income.
Biggest as anybody. So no men in Bellator. She's the biggest contract.
I mean, what do they mean by biggest contract?
Most
like
paid.
Biggest payday? Okay. What is that payday?
I don't know. They haven't released the numbers. She deserves it though, man. And what's interesting too is Scott Croker, who is the Dana White of Bellator, stated that she will receive an immediate 145-pound title shot, which I think she deserves, man. Dude,
Yeah, I don't think it's unfair.
I still believe she's one of the best women. I guess if you're basing it off of the first Nunes fight, she's the second best woman fighter in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see her and Nunes rematch. I don't think we'll ever see that now.
It would be several years before we saw that.
But she deserves, I haven't seen nobody debating this because I think everybody already knows, like, of course she deserves an immediate title shot for her first fight in Bellator. There's no reason for Cyborg to fight an up-and-coming contender or take a warm-up fight just because it's her first fight in Bellator. No, she's one of the best women in the world.
Yeah, she's
Give
a
her
veteran.
that title shot.
Yeah. No, I agree completely, and I think this was a good call by Bellator because by bringing Cyborg in, I think they're going to get more viewers.
Yeah, I think, I don't watch Bellator because I just think it's different, man, like the gloves and stuff. But I've always said, if, some of my favorite fighters start going over there, I'm going to tune in. Just because I think it's different, man. It's just, the feel's different. The gloves look different. The octagon looks different.
Pay-per-views? I don't really know much about Bellator. I don't.
See, I think DAZN, which is like, or DAZN, or whatever they call it, it's like a streaming service, and I think their pay-per-views are through there, and it's like $10 a month. So, I mean, if it's a decent card, got some decent names on it, and Cyborg's on it, I'd probably be willing to do that.
Yeah.
I'm willing to tune in. Bellator does TV ones too, TV events that you don't have to pay for. I don't know if they put her on one of those.
I feel like they'd make it like a real pay-per-view.
Yeah, but I like this, man. Like, I'll start watching Bellator a little bit now just because start watching the highlights or whatever.
I think a lot of people will.
I mean, I've kept up with, just some of the news in Bellator, I keep up just because Rampage is in it, Frank Mir, a lot of other former UFC guys.
Rampage. Oh, he was one of my favorites.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've kept up with it a little bit, but, now I'll actually tune in a lot more because this Chris Cyborg signing means a lot to them.
Well, what's your thoughts on the Blachowicz and Sueza fight?
So, yes, this was interesting that just got announced. Jan Blachowicz versus Jacare Souza. Jacare Souza is moving up to light heavyweight.
Is that Shakar?
Yeah, you remember?
No, I'm saying, do you pronounce it Jacare?
No, Souza.
No, his first name. You were calling
Jacare.
Is it Jacare or Jacare?
Jacare. That's how they pronounce it on TV.
Oh, okay.
But you remember him?
He's
alligator guy.
We haven't seen him in.
Well, I mean, he
while.
fought the number one contender at middleweight in his last fight. Who did he fight? I don't remember, but he was one fight away from a title shot.
Yeah,
and he lost, but it was interesting to see him move up. Because he kind of acted like he was going to retire. I guess this could be good, but what's interesting about this being announced for Fight Night on November 16th, Jan Blachowicz was supposed to be next for John Jones. This is why I bring this fight up. Jan Blachowicz supposedly was offered to John Jones at UFC 244. I don't want to see that. I would not be talking about getting tickets if Jan Blachowicz versus John Jones was headlining UFC 244.
Now, if Diaz and Masvidal was still a fight on 244, would you still want to get tickets?
It might be interesting, but I mean, I understand Jan Blachowicz is one of the top contenders, but, like I said, John Jones is on a whole different level. But what, this fight means is this announcement looks like we will not get to see John Jones fight again until 2020. He has stated since his last fight that he wanted to fight again in 2019. And I remember on Twitter, maybe last week or the week before, he was saying big announcement coming soon, acting like a fight announcement. And then this fight got announced. So, for you John Jones fans, I'm not one of them. But it looks like you're going to have to wait until 2020. I don't know when.
Not unless he just got a fight in December.
It's not going to be early 2020, but it looks like you're going to have to wait a while to see John Jones fight, unless the winner of Corey Anderson and Johnny Walker at UFC 244 November 2nd, unless they wanted to make a quick turnaround and fight for a title, which could be possible.
It's just hard to.
But.
It's hard to have it be that quick of a turnaround.
I mean, the only way I could see John Jones fighting again in 2019 is if they offered him Stipe Miocic.
In December?
Yeah.
But, I mean, because it's not going to be, obviously, October or November.
I don't know where the UFC, where their interest level is in that fight, though.
Well, we might. I think that'd be a cool fight, Miocic and Jones.
Yeah.
But we might see that as a New Year's fight, right at the end of the year.
Yeah, they try to make that card right before New Year's or right after New Year's. They try to make that card pretty good.
Yeah, so we might get that.
Yeah,
who knows? Because I mean that's 3 months from now, so they have enough time both to train and do what they need to do.
Yeah.
So, what about Fight Night 159?
Yep. So this upcoming
that's this Saturday, right?
This upcoming Saturday we got UFC Fight Night 159. I believe this is UFC Mexico City. I believe where this fight is.
You're right.
Yep. So
because who was it? Rodriguez said he was proud to be training in his country.
Yeah. So this is big for Yara. So the main event is Yara Rodriguez versus Jeremy Stephens. I'm a big Jeremy Stephens fan, man. I think his nickname's Little Heathen, and he goes out there, man. He's kind of like Gaethje, man. He goes out there and tries to knock you out every time. Jeremy Stephens is a guy, I don't remember if you remember this, but he got famous. He got famous during a press conference with Conor McGregor. You know how they do those summer press conferences where all the upcoming fighters, you know, all the upcoming main card fights, get together for one press conference. Where Conor was talking a bunch of stuff like he always does, and Jeremy Stephens was behind McGregor a couple of rows back, and he was like, right here. I'm the real 100. I'm the real hardest hitting 145er. This was when McGregor was at 145 pounds. He was like, you TKO people. When I hit them, they don't move. He was like, they hit the ground and don't move. And this is how he got famous, because after that, Conor McGregor picked up the microphone and was like, he was like, who is that guy? Yeah. He kind of looked at him and was like, who is that guy? And that's how Jeremy Stephens got, he got famous to the outside world like that. Yeah. I mean, obviously for big UFC fans like us, we've seen a lot of Jeremy Stephens fights. I'm a big fan of Jeremy Stephens. I remember when he got, I can't remember who his last fight was off the top of my head. I vividly remember that last fight he had with Jose Aldo, though. Aldo threw a roundhouse kick to him at the body, and it hit him in the spleen, and he kind of had a late reaction, and then they called it. Yeah. So that was the last fight I remember with him. I know he probably had a fight before that. I can't remember it. Let me look it up. Yeah, because Jeremy, I know he's had a fight since then, because that was about a year ago.
Dude, you ever had one of those days when your back just won't pop and you're just I feel like I'm looking like a sloth right now, but I'm just kind of trying to pop it.
So Jeremy Stephens' last fight was against Zabit, in which Zabit Magum, I ain't even going to pronounce his last name, but Zabit's one of the upcoming fighters in that 145-pound division. Like, he's only had one loss, and he beat Jeremy Stephens by decision. Obviously, that was a tough fight for Jeremy Stephens.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's beat some good people, man. He KO'd Josh Emmett, KO'd Korean Superboy. I mean, Jeremy Stephens, he's had some good past fights. Yara Rodriguez, he has one of the best knockouts in the UFC. I remember you seen that highlight last night, right?
Yeah.
So he ducked under a punch and hit the dude with like
a back elbow.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably one of the best knockouts in UFC history. I guarantee you, like, when if they made a video of like best 50 knockouts, that's probably top 5.
Top 5, top 10.
Yeah.
I definitely know. Yeah, that Masvidal is going to be number 1. But, I mean, there has been some crazy good knockouts. I would love to see that if they came out with if the UFC came out with it. Because, Joe Schmo might come out with it. You might disagree with it. But now, if the UFC came out with top 50 knockouts, that'd be a fun little clip to watch.
I mean, they've aired some stuff on ESPN where they now are with ESPN. They've aired some stuff like best top 25 UFC fights, and they'll like air all the fights, like the highlights of them. And they'll air it for like a 3-hour special or something. I've watched that before just because I was interested to see where McGregor Diaz 2 would be, and it was at the top like I thought it would be.
Yeah, that was a good fight.
But let's talk about, who do you think's going to win this fight? I mean,
Dude, I'm going for Rodriguez all the way. Because, I mean, he's going Kung Fu Panda style on this thing. If you watched his promo video, he's talking about training at this spiritual, ritualistic temple.
Yeah.
And he's up there, like I said, Kung Fu Panda-ing it up. So, obviously, I love the Kung Fu Panda game at Dave & Buster's.
Yeah.
So, I'm calling him Mr. Kung Fu Panda, but that's who I'm going for, is Rodriguez. I suggest people watch that promo video. It's cool. Like, I don't know why, it's just interesting to me, but I'm down for Rodriguez.
I got to oppose with you on this one. I think Lil Heathen Jeremy Stephens, I think he's gonna spoil Mr. Rodriguez's hometown Mexico City fight. I think Jeremy Stephens is due for a win.
Might be due for a win. Is he gonna get it?
Yeah, I think we could see Rodriguez get knocked out. Jeremy Stephens is gonna come forward, provide that pressure. I know Yara Rodriguez, I think his last fight he did have somebody that provided a lot of pressure. Let's see, his last fight was against Korean Zombie, I think. There's a Korean Zombie and a Korean Superboy. I believe this guy's name was Korean Zombie. He knocked him out, last second. that spinning elbow was a last second knockout.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It got called at 4 minutes and 59 seconds in the 5th round.
Ooh.
And I mean, Korean Zombie's, a guy that provides some pressure, but I feel like Jeremy Stevens, he just hasn't fought a guy that's gonna bring that type of pressure yet.
Dude, I think the spirit of Mexico City is gonna run through Rodriguez's Kung Fu Panda spirit and just destroy Stevens. I think you're gonna hear Mexico City Stadium just cheering and yelling for Rodriguez. That's what I think. Then I think Rodriguez, his blood's just gonna flow thick, powerful.
I mean, you can't lose at your hometown, man. A lot of these guys try to fight at their hometown, and most of the time they win. Yeah, I'd like to see those percentages when guys try to get on their hometown pay-per-views and stuff. But a lot of the times the guys do win.
Dude, I wish they'd have a pay-per-view here at Roanoke.
Yeah, I wish they could.
It's not that big of a stadium.
Dude, they could have a fight night at the Bellator Center. And
you could have a fight night. You couldn't have a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It ain't no Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
It's just Roanoke.
Because, see, I've always said that, and I felt like they could, because they bring WWE over here. I mean, it does all right. I've been to them. But I think you could do a fight night, and maybe, you could, put a bunch of up-and-comers on it. You could put Tony Gravely on it, the guy who just signed that contract from, I know he trains in Christiansburg.
Oh, yeah.
So you could put him on it, and then you could give us a main event. Maybe somebody at just at the bottom of the top 10, and maybe the lightweight division, welterweight division.
We could definitely get a fight night.
Yeah, I mean, I know. What's this guy's name? I remember him. I was talking about him the other day. He's a middleweight, but he's from Charlotte. He's a top middleweight.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name.
I'm sure he wouldn't mind fighting, doing a headline in a fight night right there.
Yeah, he's not far. We're only 2 hours from Charlotte.
Yeah.
So, but I would love to see a fight night in Roanoke. We would definitely go.
Yeah, definitely. Sit front row there. Bro.
Yeah, we could afford a front row. Locals discount.
Yeah.
Oh man, that'd be awesome. But we might. Who knows?
Yeah.
So, well.
Yep, that's probably about it.
Yeah, it was a good show, man.
Yep, but thanks for tuning in today, guys, and giving us a listen. We thank everybody for all their support they've gave us. We hopefully will have a guest on with us next week.
We're looking at 2 people. I don't know. The one might be working.
Yeah.
The other one, he's kind of. I think he's skittish.
Yeah, but we're gonna get somebody definitely by next week because we wanna have a good
It's fun to showcase our group, man.
Yeah, for real.
So so we're looking forward to that. Our Spotify numbers, man, those are getting up.
Yeah, so as always, we're on Spotify, we're on Anchor.
Yeah, and YouTube. If you have any comments, questions, whatever, email us. I think our email's on Facebook, or just send us a message on Facebook or YouTube or something.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think this was a fun show.
Yep. It was.
All right. Well, peace out. Got it.